Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Hartford Whalers Throwback franchise mode here in NHL 22. So in last episode, we took on the North America Future Stars in the conference finals, and we managed to beat them in 6 games, despite dropping the first 2 games. Our team started to pick it up a bit. As you can see, we won this one 4-1, which Corey Hirsch started in just because we wanted to give Sean Burke a little bit of a break. And then we won 3 straight games, 2 of them in overtime. So we have found ourselves in the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time, and I'm very excited to see if this team could actually win the Stanley Cup. We've been a really good defensive team this playoff run, and also we're starting to get some offense from our top guns, especially like Castles and Hull. But yeah, the depth scoring has been kind of on this team, like Deneen, Primo. Those type of guys should be picking up more points since they're in our top 6, but in general, I've been pretty impressed with this team. And yeah, hopefully we could just get those 4 more wins to get that Stanley Cup, because Sean Burke definitely deserves a Stanley Cup at this rate. He's been playing really good this playoff run. Corey Hirsch also played really good as backup when he did play. So anyways, before we get into this Stanley Cup Finals, let me show you guys again the Canucks lineup, just in case you forget. But should be an interesting Stanley Cup Finals for the most part. So as you can see here, this is what their team looks like. They got McGinley, Ridley, and Bure. So Bure and McGinley, both really good players. Surprisingly, they've been under a point per game in the first few seasons of this franchise mode, so we just got to shut down those guys especially. But they do have a good second line like Jelna, Linden, Naslund. And then their bottom 6 is pretty solid as well. Krivo, Krasov, Walker, Lambert, Nurmanen, and then Merzen, because Reichel, I don't know why they even have him in the lineup. Defensive core is also really good. They do actually have an injury currently to Chris Chelios, so we won't have to see him in this playoff run. And then also they do have an injury to Mike Eastwood, who's a 4th liner, but he will be back within the next few days. And their goaltending combination is actually really good as well. They got Dunham and Van Beesbrook. And what's interesting is both these goalies have been playing in this playoff run a decent amount of times. Like, as you can see, they have both played a decent amount of games. Van Beesbrook's got 5 wins of his own, and then Dunham's got 7 wins of his own. So both of them are playing in this playoff run. So they're actually not changing, or they're kind of alternating their goaltenders throughout the entire playoff run. So we might have to see a different goalie each game, which would be kind of neat. So there is that, and let's get ourselves into the Stanley Cup Finals and see if we could win our first ever Stanley Cup, and probably the only Stanley Cup of the series if we could get that, because like I said, this series isn't going to last super long just because NHL 23 is right around the corner, probably of this episode going up. Maybe a few more episodes after this, who knows. But let's see if we can get that Stanley Cup win. It all leads up to this. Is that Brett Hull signing that we got last offseason the difference maker for this team? Here we go. Game number 1 on home ice, since we got home ice advantage in this Cup Finals. Let's see what we can do here. We just need 4 wins. First period, 1-1. I will definitely take that. Sean Chambers scores a shorthanded goal, so not good to give up a shorthanded goal, but I will take the tie at least after 1. Rice tied it up for us. Shots are 17-13 in favor of us, so it's a very offensive first period. A lot of shots between both teams, so this might be a high shooting game. Well, maybe both goalies will actually lock down the game as well. Who knows? But a very even first period, I'd say, for the most part. Second period, 2-1 Vancouver. That's not good. Pavel Bure gets on the board. We needed to contain him, and unfortunately we don't there in that period. And now we're trailing going into the third. Shots are 26-25 in favor of us. Pretty even game. We're only down by a goal. Can we please tie this game up? Come on, boys. We want to use this home ice advantage to our advantage, as Jeff Sanderson ties the game up at 2. So that's a big goal from one of our top line scorers, and Brett Hull scores. Let's go, Brett. Brett Hull has been a huge acquisition for this team in this playoff run. He was a pretty solid player in the regular season, but this playoff run, he's definitely helped turn us into a Stanley Cup contender. And we are going to win Game 1, 3-2 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Brett Hull's goal is the winner. We outshot them 36-32, and we win 3-2. Let's go. So Rice from Manderville and Malik, Sanderson from Primo and Deneen, and Hull from Castles. Nicely done, Hull. There we go, 3 stars again. Sean Burke with another great game. Rice's 2nd star, and Brett Hull the 3rd. So we are now 3 wins away. Just got to keep on chugging. We've been a really good road team this playoff run. If we could just win on home ice as well, then we are going to be unstoppable. So, who knows? I don't think I'm going to make any line adjustments for game number 2, because that was a pretty textbook game of ours, winning only by like 1 goal. And yeah, our top line was producing in that game. So let's do what we do best and try and win another back-to-back situation, because normally we get, yeah, we're on a good winning streak here. We're actually on like a 5-game winning streak now, so let's see if we could win our 6th in a row here. That'd be really nice. Here we go. Game number 2, still on home ice. Kim with taking 2-0 series lead in the Cup Finals. Come on, boys. First period, still scoreless. Okay. 0-0 after 1. Shots are 9-9, so very even period. I don't know if we're playing against Mike Dunham again, who lost game 1, or if we're playing Van Beesbrook now, but very even first period. Can we take the lead into the second or something, or into the third? That would be good. If we can get at least 1 or 2 goals in the second, I would be pretty happy. So, second period, 1-1. I will take that, I guess. Jelna gives the Canucks the lead, but then it's a short-handed goal from Robert Cron, which is nice. Good to see him been doing well since he's came back from injury, because once he replaced Stu Grimson, he has been picking up a lot more goals and picking up points in this platform, and it's been helping us out quite a bit, I'd say, especially with short-handed goals like that. Shots are 25-17 in favor of the Canucks, but we are tied up. And yeah, we are facing Mike Dunham again, so let's see what happens in the third period, see if we can get that lead. Come on, boys. Come on. Let's get that lead. I just don't know who wants to be that guy to score that lead goal. Penalty kill. Nicely done. Our penalty kill is still doing good in this playoff run so far for the most part, which is great. Come on, boys. Let's get that 2-1 lead. Okay, Andrew Castles. I was about to say, or are we going to overtime? And then Joel Bouchard, the empty netter. We win 3-1, and we have a 2-0 series lead, and we are 2 wins away from winning our first ever Stanley Cup. That's huge. So Karan, actually the former Canuck, I forgot he was a former Canuck at one point, from Castles and Svela, Castles from Chason and Deneen, and then Joel Bouchard from Emerson and Manderville. Yeah, Manderville has definitely picked it up in these last 2 rounds since he scored that OT winner in that conference finals. Wow. Sean Burke with a 975 save percentage in that game as well. So Sean Burke came to play in that one. He gets first star of the game, Castles the second star, and Karan the third. So we just got to win 2 games on the road, which we've been able to do a lot so far in this playoff run. So we are on a 6-game winning streak and 2 wins away from the Stanley Cup. Can we take a 3-0 series lead and win another road game is the question. I don't know who even is technically like a Conn Smythe candidate for this team, because we've been just like, our offense has not been necessarily the best. So I would say probably Sean Burke, but you got Castles who's over point per game, so maybe Castles is a front runner. Okay, here we go. Game number 3. We are now in Vancouver. Can we take a commanding 3-0 series lead and be 1 win away from our first Stanley Cup? Come on, boys. Come on, not going to make any adjustments yet. First period, 1-1. I guess I'll take that. Pavel Bure opens the scoring for them again, but Joel Bouchard answers and ties the game up. Joel Bouchard's been a really good fit for this team. We brought him in as a pickup after we lost, I think it was like Adam Bird or something. But we brought in Joel Bouchard for our defensive core to give it a little bit more depth, and he's been really solid in this playoff run so far to replace Godinyak, who was kind of minus and not doing too well. So 1-1 after 1. Shots are 13-8 in favor of the Canucks. Can we grab that lead in the second? Second period, 3-1. Let's go. Stevens and Hull score. And we are 1 period away from being 1 win away from the Stanley Cup final, or Stanley Cup win, which is kind of crazy. Shots are 23-20 in favor of the Canucks. We're up by a couple goals. Let's lock this down. And Nurminen scores early into the third, which is kind of scary. That's not good. Come on, boys. Come on, Berkey. You can lock this down, man. I believe in you. You had 2 shouts in the first round, so you definitely have that capability. Final 5 minutes and a power play goal from Igor Kravchuk, who had not scored in a playoff run so far. And yup, we are 1 win away from winning our first Stanley Cup. Kevin Deneen got the empty netter. We win 5-2. This team has just been awesome so far. Bouchard from Primo and Stevens, Hull from Svela and Chason, Stevens from Hull and Castles, Kravchuk from Emerson and Stevens, and Deneen from Primo. Let's go. 1 win away from winning our first Stanley Cup, huh? Stevens got 3 points in that game. Primo and Hull had 2 points. A bunch of players also with 1 point. And yeah, Sean Burke, really good numbers as usual. I feel like Sean Burke is probably the Conn Smythe candidate. Stevens gets first star, 3 points. Burke the second star, and Brett Hull the third. Let's go. We're close to sweeping the Canucks in the Cup Finals, huh? And we're on a 7-game win streak, so we better not lose randomly like 4 straight, because I know EA likes to do that type of thing. Okay. Yeah, I don't think there's any use for making any line changes. I know this episode's pretty short right now, but if we do end up winning the Stanley Cup, obviously the celebration will add some more time to this episode. So, can we sweep the Canucks and win our first Stanley Cup, and probably only Stanley Cup of the series? Let's see what happens. First period, 1-1. I'll take that. Another 1-1 period's always good over being down like 3-2 or something. So Slager opens the scoring for them, but then a goal from Kevin Dineen, who's not really been scoring a whole lot of goals. I think that's only his 4th goal of the playoffs, but 1-1 after 1. Shots are 14-10 in favor of us. Can we grab that lead in a second, as we normally have been doing so far in this playoff run? Second period, 3-2 us. Let's go. Robert Cron and Kevin Dineen score, and then Mike Ridley pulls them within 1. If we could hold them off for 20 minutes, we have won our first Stanley Cup. So let's go down to 4-time simulation just to make this a little bit slower. And let's watch this third and see what happens. If we have a chance to clinch this cup, we are definitely going to watch the celebration. So, come on, boys. Hey, Robert Spala makes it 4-2. That might be the goal. That might be the difference maker here. That's a huge one from Spala. He's had a really good playoffs as well. Pavel Bure makes it 4-3. I don't like that. But Primo answers right back. What a goal from Captain Keith. Well, he's not the captain of this team, but he was the captain of the Flyers, right? So that's a huge goal from Keith to answer right back from that Bure goal. Because now at least we have that 2-goal advantage to sit on. And I think we're going to go in right now, and I will let you guys watch the rest of the third period, because we should be able to lock down this game. Going to be very exciting to see us win our first Stanley Cup, I think, if that is the case, and we don't blow this game randomly. So let me just make sure this is on true broadcast, just because that's always the best. Oh, it wasn't. There you go. Now it's good and set up. Okay, so I'll let you guys watch this third period and Stanley Cup celebration, and I will see you guys at the end of it.
Here in the late going of the frame, no shortage of offense on display tonight on the ice. It's a 5-3 game. Vancouver's won the draw. Gelena's got it along the wing. Hartford's got the puck along the boards. Vancouver's looking to break out. From the right side, takes the pass. Hartford's in transition. Along the half wall with the puck. Grabs it in his own end. The Canucks take it across the line. Hartford's looking to break out of their own end. The Canucks have pulled the goaltender here. They've got the extra attacker out on the ice in hopes of a goal. Vancouver's got the puck in the defensive end. Can't get it to go. Chance at an empty netter here. Can't get it to go. Loose puck battle along the boards. A shot into the yawning cage. And that one's broken up. Taken by Hull. A chance to ice it into the empty net. Misses. 21 seconds to the end of this period. Whoa. A shot at the empty net. Puck possession so critical. Another face-off coming up here. Vancouver's got a hold of the puck off the draw. Here's a chance to make something happen inside the neutral zone. And there's the save.
Burke's been a strong link in the chain tonight. Everybody's pulling in the same direction. The offense has been excellent, too.
And here we are in this third period, and a look at what could be handed out tonight, Ray.
Yeah, taken out of the case, and now will be presented and ready to go if somebody is able to take the final step.
Hartford's won the face-off deep in their own end. Have you met Lord Stanley? Well, you're about to hear as they are about to win the most coveted prize in hockey. And there it is! No harder trophy to win in sports than the Stanley Cup, and they're doing it.
Every time I see the players celebrate, I can't help but feel a little jealousy for the fact that they got to run through the final stage. They deserved the trophy, and I never got to lift it. I look at them and I go, man, you guys have accomplished everything.
What a series, and both sides paying respect here, Ray.
Well, they'll shake hands, but I know the winning side, this is like a speed bump to getting their hands on the Stanley Cup, which they can't possibly imagine what it'll be like.
What an impressive run, and I think well-deserved to be named playoff MVP.
I've always noticed that the player that gets named Conn Smythe Trophy winner is always a little uneasy because it's such a team win, the Stanley Cup, of course, that the Conn Smythe feels a little awkward in this spot.
It's also huge.
It's a giant trophy.
Just sheer joy down on the ice. You're at ice level. You're on the ice here right now, Ray. What are you seeing?
Everybody's focused on the trophy about to be presented, but it's everybody else on the ice that I see. They're hugging onto each other. There's tears in their eyes. Everything they dreamed about is now coming to fruition.
Amazing. Oh, they get to take the tour with the championship. I can't even imagine what that feeling must be like.
What an amazing accomplishment to win. And it must be such relief to get your hands on the trophy, to realize this is it. This is what I played for.
The team picture, this is something that 99 started, did he not?
Yeah, I believe it was his last year in Edmonton where they won, called everybody together. What an unreal photo to have.
So there you guys have it. We have won our first Stanley Cup with a 6-3 win over the Canucks. Great to see this team finally come together and win it. It only took 3 seasons, so it doesn't feel like I did a lot of work, but we did a lot of nice off-season moves, and I think this team just grew really well. Sean Burke was a really good goalie out of the gate, and yeah, we finally won that Stanley Cup. Not the best last game for Sean Burke, but at least he gets the win, and they gave the Conn Smythe to Andrew Castles, which I think is well deserved. He actually had a really good playoffs as well, but I would have probably given it to Burke out of the two of them just because I think Burke had probably the better playoff run. But then again, Castles had a very good last 2 rounds. And yeah, we went on an 8-game winning streak to win that Stanley Cup. Let's go. 16-4. Let's take a look at those player stats from the entire playoff run. We'll also take a look at our we'll take a look at the retirements and stuff this episode still as well, just to kind of add a little bit more time to it. But Castles had 23 points in 20 games. He was a plus 14. Really good playoff run for him. And yeah, he's been a really good player normally in the regular season and in the playoffs. So very good to see that. Keith Primo picked it up near the end. 12 points in 20 games, plus 10. Can't ask much more from him. Manderville, 6 points in 20 games. Really started to pick it up in the conference finals. So he was also pretty good, I'd say, for the most part. Stevens, 19 points in 20 games. Can't complain with that. Sanderson, 14 points. Can't complain, really. Cron, 7 points in 12 games since getting put in, which is great. Stu Grimson, 2 goals in 16 games. Can't ask anything else of him other than maybe picking up a couple more points, but he's an enforcer, so you would expect less points probably than 2 goals even. Arvidsson had nothing in 12, but he was still an important piece, I'd say, in the regular season with 40 points, so good to see him get a Stanley Cup win. Brett Hull, 22 points in 20 games. He definitely was the acquisition that helped get us that Stanley Cup win. We brought him in. He picks up 79 points in his first year here and has a very good playoff outing and wins his second Stanley Cup of this franchise mode. So there's that. Kevin Dineen, 12 points is pretty good as our captain. Emerson, 11 points. O'Neill only had 6 points, so he was a little bit quiet, but still I'll take it. And Stephen Rice, 3 goals. Defensively, Shvela was fantastic as a defenseman. 18 points and a plus 16. Can't ask anything else from Robert Shvela. That's exactly what we need from him. And then Chason, 14 points, plus 17, really good. Wesley had 5 points, was a plus 5, not bad. But yeah, really good performance from our defenders. Really good plus minus all around. Everybody on this team did well. And yeah, Sean Burke was really good. 937 save percentage and a 2 goals against average through those 19 games. So there's your Stanley Cup winning team. Very happy with that. Hopefully we can win at least one more before the end of this franchise mode, but if we don't have the time to, obviously, at least we got one in those first 3 seasons. So there's that. Let's sim up to the retirements and all that stuff and the awards. So the Caps fired their head coach after they lost in the second round, which is kind of weird. Interesting. And the Manitoba Moose are going to win the AHL. Let's take a look at those awards. See who won awards around the league. So we win the Stanley Cup for, I guess, what would be the 98-99 season, I think. Yeah, I think that's the 98-99 season. So we win the Stanley Cup. Detroit won the President's Trophy. It was us in Vancouver in the Cup Finals. Yager is going to win the Art Ross. So they actually didn't give it to Lemieux, but both of them had the same amount of points. So I would probably give it to both of them. So that's a little bit weird. Lemieux is going to win the Hart, though. Lidstrom wins the Norris, not a surprise. Adam Oates wins the Lady Byng. Forelli for the Future Stars is going to win the Calder. Got all his team all the way to the conference finals, which is impressive. Andrew Castles does win the Conn Smythe, so that's good for him. Really happy for him. Mike Richter wins the Vezina this season, and the Jennings, also Mark Fitzpatrick is the backup. Doug Howda wins to Bill Masterton. The Sens coach wins to Jack Adams. Pierre Turgeon wins to Selke. The Lindsay going to Lemieux, and Maurice Richard going to Jaromir Jagr. In terms of the AHL awards for our AHL affiliate, I wouldn't assume anything, but you never know. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Interesting. Okay, so that is that. Now the question is, did we lose anybody to retirement? Because we are a little bit of an older team, so we could end up losing some guys after that Stanley Cup win. So we'll see. But first, the draft lottery results. Sweden has first overall, followed by Florida, Tampa, Germany, and New York. There should be some more prospects in this year's draft class, since this is the 3rd year, and this would be the last year I added draft prospects too. So, retirement-wise, though, first, let's see. We got Mike Eagles retires with the Caps, 14 points in 63 games. He looks like the only one I added. Yep, the only one I added. Left wing wise, Bob Airy is going to retire with the San Jose Sharks. Mike Peluso retires with St. Louis. And that is it for players I added. Right wing wise, I don't see anybody. Yeah, don't see anybody. Defensively, Jamie McCowan retires. Bruce Driver retires. Marty McSorley retires. Grant Ledyard retires. Jim Johnson, same with David Shaw. Doug Lidster, who we actually had for a bit as a waiver claim, but he never played any games with us. Joe Sorella retires. Dave Ellett. Craig Muni. So a lot of defenders. Michael Ayler. Brett Carson retires. He was in our AHL affiliate. And he did get to play some NHL games with us too, I'm pretty sure. So there's that. I'm curious on how much penalty minutes, what is his name? McSorley put up. I feel like he had a lot, right? Yeah, he had 628 penalty minutes in 244 games. God damn. And in goalie-wise, no goalies retired, except for actually Peter Sidorkowicz retires. He got to play only 1 game, but he was actually really good in that game. But he was mostly used as an AHL goalie. Interesting. So those are your retirements for this season. Coach retirement-wise, did we lose any coaches? No, does not look like it. Let's take a look at this draft class and the progress reports and the contract situation, and that'll be it for this episode. Just because it's probably a little bit of a longer episode, I have no idea with that celebration. So as you can see, Daniel and Henrik Sedin are in this draft. And that's pretty much, looks like that's all I added. Or did I add any goalies? So yeah, I added Ryan Miller, Craig Anderson, those type of players. But a lot of these players are just going to be EA generated, so... any steals though that we could pin, like low elite type of players? This guy might be meme elite. He's probably top 4 though, I'll pin him anyways. This guy's pretty good for 13th overall. Any low elites that we could pin if we want to get ourselves some more prospects, but I don't think we'll even get to see most of them play. Sven Leonard, we'll pin him anyways. You know he's supposed to go undrafted. This guy is supposed to be drafted and he's a gem, so I'll pin him. There we go. Okay, let's take a look at those progress reports, see if we got any development from like Inglis in the minors or whatnot. So Dineen is dropping off a lot. Same with Kravchuk. Kravchuk actually dropped off a lot more than I expected. So a couple bits of players dropping off in the system. We are getting growth from one of our low elites, which is good. Looks like the low top 4 that has good offensive stats is developing well as well, which is great. And then Inglis getting a little bit of development, but he's kind of slowly growing, which is interesting. So there is that. Let's take a quick look at the contract situation, and that'll be it for this episode. So contract-wise, we have Keith Primo up for renewal. He's our big one. He doesn't actually want too much, which is nice. Glenn Wesley's also up for renewal. And then there's also Steve Chason. A lot of those guys are getting up there in age, though. We also got Emerson, Stevens. Like, we have a lot of big players actually up for renewals, so let me know what you guys think in terms of who should be coming back to this team and who shouldn't be. Obviously, we just won the Stanley Cup, but Sean Burke is also up for renewal. He doesn't want really any much money at the moment, which is kind of weird. So we might have to just give him a contract before free agency, or re-sign stage-wise. Corey Hirsch is also up for renewal. We could bring him back and let go of Mazzotti, or we could let go of both of them, because one of them could play in the AHL still. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Hartford Whalers franchise mode. So in next episode, we'll take it to the off season. We might have one more chance to go for a Stanley Cup. I don't know when this episode's going up, but let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.